Man versus gun.
Hello shooters, today's man versus handgun is going to be the Canik TP9SF. Most Americans say Canik. I'll show you why it's actually Canik. Doesn't really matter though. So let's put this handgun through the man versus gun spreadsheet paces. Okay shooters, let's talk about how to pronounce the name of this handgun. It's made in Turkey. And in Turkish, it's easy to see why in English we would say Canik, because that RC sounds like a K or a S, depending upon. But actually, in Turkish, that's how you say John. If you go over to Turkey and your name is John, they'll call you John, but that's how they'll spell it. In Turkish, the C's like a J, and the A's more like the O in John. So literally, this is John. And then the IK is Eek. So the way you say this handgun is Canik. Canik. I know this isn't going to change the way people say it. I'll probably refer to it as a Canik because that's what everybody else says, but that is how you pronounce this handgun's name. Canik. Canik. Hope that helps. Okay, the weight on this thing is 1 pound 13 ounces. Let's see how it stacks up against the Glock. Gonna have to add a couple rounds here. So the TP9 weighs the same as a Glock with same as a Glock with 6 rounds, which is pretty lightweight. So it gets a 4 for weight. Let's check thickness on this, or width. We are 1.306. So we get a 4 for weight and a 4 for thickness. So this is definitely a service-sized handgun. It can also serve as a CCW handgun, but it is longer this way than most other handguns by just a smidge. But it is longer, so it does hurt it in the CCW range. So I gave it a 3 for CCW instead of a 4. Receiver's plastic, so it gets a 3 right off the bat, and it's got a good design. It feels good in the hand, so it's a +1. So the receiver is a total of a 4. Backstrap design gets a 4, and there is 2 back straps, so that's 2 extra points there. Side panels are what they are. They're non-adjustable, like most handguns, except for like the VP9. The side panels are what they are, but it's got nice stippling, and the front and the back strap has this like tread pattern that is not too aggressive. Feels good in the hand though. Trigger pull on this TP9SF is phenomenal actually. I think it's probably the best trigger pull I've felt on a polymer handgun. It's got some take up, then it hits the wall, and there's a little bit of creep, but it doesn't feel like creep, it's just more wall. And then it's got a crisp let off. Reset is pretty short. It is loud, and you can feel it for those of you that care about that. But this is probably the best trigger pull on an out-of-the-box polymer handgun that I've felt. It's not heavy. It's nice and crisp, and it's the same every time. So it gets high marks for the trigger pull. The magazine well is flared on 3 sides. That's a good thing. The magazine is steel, It holds 18 rounds instead of the typical 17 rounds on most other handguns this size. It does hold 18 in the mag. So +1 in the chamber gives you a total of 19 rounds on tap. But the base plate is not very one-handed manipulation friendly. You see it's smaller than the frame there. Let me get my pointer over here. See, it's actually smaller than the frame there. And it doesn't stick out any farther than the frame on this side too. Yeah, you probably can get something there to stick to grab onto, but it's not a very good design for one-handed manipulations. The magazine release is right where it belongs, which is right there on the right side. It is not on both sides. It is on right side. You can switch it to left side also, but it's still just on one side. The safety is right here in the trigger, just like a Smith & Wesson M&P or Glock or VP9 or just about every other polymer handgun you can imagine. So it's in a great location, and it works equally well for right hand or left hand. So they did a great job there. The slide catch release, it's a little bit too long. I wish it ended about right there, because you'll notice that it is easy to hit with the thumb. That's the good news and the bad news. It's really easy to hit with the thumb. It doesn't stick out far. It's nice and recessed, but it still is easy to grab onto. But some people will have trouble with the way they shoot if their thumb is. So you can see that my thumb contacts that. If I shoot it like this, the slide won't lock back. I have to consciously keep my thumb away. I got to do the same thing with the VP9. I wish the VP9s were shorter too. So far, the Smith & Wesson M&P nails it for the slide release, slide catch. The rear sight is of adequate design. I'm not super thrilled about it. It's pretty busy on the back end. It has the 2 dots plus this line. Front side is a white dot. I don't know what the line is there for. It is what it is. But at least it's steel. It's not plastic. So that's a good thing. It's not very one-handed manipulation friendly. As you can see, it's got this nice slant. There's a little bit of an edge there to maybe catch on things, but I'm not super thrilled about the rear sight. But those can be switched out, so it's not a deal breaker. Front sight's a good design. It's dovetailed into the slide, so you can get different front sights, and the rear sight's dovetailed too. So I'm sure there's rear sight options. I haven't looked to see what those sight options are on this thing yet, but the front sight's a good design. This is light rail compatible. It has 3 different slots here for a light or laser or whatever, and this is not optics compatible. So overall, it's for the money, this is a fantastic bargain. Right now they're $350 shipped from AIM Surplus, so it's way affordable. Good handgun overall. Okay, shooters, my final thoughts on the Canik TP9SF. This is a good handgun. For the price, you cannot beat it for the price. This was, right at mid 300 when I bought it. It is the SF model. It doesn't have that decocker thing. I don't like that decocker thing on the other Canik models. If you're going to get a Canik, get a SF. Great handgun for the money. Is it going to replace my VP9? Is it going to replace my M&P? Is it going to replace my Glock? Nope. But I'm not going to sell this either. I'm going to keep it. It's a good handgun. Great handgun for the money. I'm impressed with the Canik. It's a good, solid handgun. If I didn't have a Glock and a Smith & Wesson and a VP9, this would be a great handgun to have. There's nothing wrong that I could find with this handgun in a major way. Yeah, it's not the most ergonomic as a VP9 or even a Smith & Wesson M&P, but it's a good, solid, reliable handgun. If this would have came out back in the 80s, it would have been neck and neck with the Glock. If you're looking around for a good, solid handgun for Route 350, this is a great choice.